Can AI really turn a single photograph into a 3D model that you can actually print? It sounds too good to be true, so I decided to test it. But I didn't want to test AI with just one easy object. I started with something simple, then made the challenge harder and harder until I reached one of the most detailed objects I've tried. And I didn't just look at the models on my computer, I 3D printed them. In this video, we're going to find out how good is AI at turning photos into 3D models. For this experiment, I'm using the Image to 3D tool from MakerLab powered by Tripo. The idea is pretty simple. I take a photo of a real object, upload it to the AI, and let it generate a 3D model. Then I export the model and print it. To make this a fair test, I created 5 levels. This starts with level 1, which is easy, and each level gets progressively harder. I'm going to judge the results based on shape, detail, hidden parts, printability, and functionality to some extent. Let's start with level 1. For level 1, I wanted to start with something simple. So I chose this coffee cup. It looks easy, but there are still a few things AI has to figure out. The overall shape, the handle, and even something it can't directly see, the inside of the cup. I took just one photo and uploaded it to MakerLab's Image to 3D AI, and this is what it generated. Let's break it down. Shape, 10 out of 10. The overall shape of the cup is extremely close to the original. Details, 10 out of 10. The handle is there, and it looks very close to the original. Hidden parts, 10 out of 10. This one really surprised me. From a single photo, the AI was able to figure out that the cup has a hole inside. It had to make a reasonable guess about geometry that wasn't directly visible. Printability, 8 out of 10. And this is where I noticed some problems. The bottom surface of the print was rough, and the surface of the handle was also rougher than the original. So while the model was very accurate, the actual print wasn't perfect. Overall score, 9.5 out of 10. That's a surprisingly strong start. But remember, this is level 1. Let's make the challenge harder. For level 2, I wanted to make things harder. So I chose this toy car. Compared with a coffee cup, there's a lot more going on here. We got the body, 4 wheels, wheel covers, a spare wheel, windows, and a lot of smaller details. And once again, I'm giving the AI just one photo. Let's see what it can figure out. Shape, 10 out of 10. The overall shape and proportions are almost perfect. The body looks very close to the original, and the proportions are right. Details, 9 out of 10. The AI did a really good job with the major details. The wheels are there, the wheel covers are captured correctly, and even the spare wheel is in the right place, but there's one noticeable mistake. The window is closed in the AI model, while the original car has an open window. So I took off 1 point. Hidden parts, 10 out of 10. AI only saw one side of the car, but it still had to create the front, the back, and the geometry that wasn't visible in the photo. And surprisingly, it guessed both the front and the back very close to the original. Printability, 7 out of 10. Once I printed it, I noticed a problem. The surface was rough, and it wasn't limited to just one area. I found rough surfaces from multiple sides of the print. So while the geometry was impressive, the print quality brought the score down. So for level 2, overall score is 9 out of 10. And that's actually very impressive. The AI got the shape and hidden geometry almost perfectly. For level 3, I chose this toy engine, which has a lot more small pieces to deal with. We've got the chimney, holes, curved wagon, and other small details. Once again, I'm giving the AI the photo of our engine. Let's see how well it can recreate it. And this result really surprised me. Let's break it down. First, the overall shape is very close, the proportions are maintained, and the main structure looks almost exactly like the original. So for shape, 10 out of 10. This is where the AI did particularly well. It captured most of the small pieces, including the chimney, the holes on the sides, the bumps, the curved part on the top. These are exactly the kinds of details I expected the AI to struggle with, but most of them are there. So for details, 10 out of 10. Now let's look at the parts the AI couldn't see. Most of its guesses were pretty good, but I did find one noticeable difference. The original has a hitch on the back, but the AI-generated model missed it. So I'm giving hidden parts 9 out of 10. Now let's look at the physical print. And compared with the level 2 toy car, I noticed a clear improvement. The surfaces on most sides of this print were much smoother. There are still some imperfections, but overall, the print quality was better. So, for printability, 8 out of 10. There is one more thing I want to point out. This toy engine and the toy car in level 2, they both have functional aspects. The moving wheels and the AI-generated model didn't preserve these functions, but I'm not going to include functionality in the overall score because not every object we test will have a functional component. So for level 3, that gives the toy engine an overall score of 9.25 out of 10, and that's actually higher than the toy car. By level 4, I wanted to see what happens when the object has even more small and complicated details. This time, I chose this articulated dinosaur, and compared with the previous levels, there's a lot more going on. We've got the teeth, eyes, joints, legs, the spine, and lots of small parts that are easy to miss. And once again, I'm giving the AI just one photo. Let's see how well it can handle all these details. First, the overall shape is very good. The proportions are maintained, and the AI captured the overall structure of the dinosaur very well. So for shape, 10 out of 10. Now let's look closer. The bottom jaw is missing some of the teeth from the original, and one of the legs has an extra finger that isn't present on the original model. These may look like small mistakes, but at this level, small details matter. So for details, 8 out of 10. Now let's look at the parts the AI had to guess. The eyes were created very well, and the neck joint. The spine was judged quite accurately, but there were still few mistakes. The AI added 2 extra teeth to the front of the top jaw. For hidden parts, 9 out of 10. Printability, 6 out of 10. And this is where level 4 really exposed a weakness. I took the AI-generated model and used the default slicing settings, and the slicer generated a lot of support material. I had a lot of difficulty separating the supports from the model. Some parts broke during support removal, including parts of the legs and the lower jaw. So even though the AI model looked pretty good on the screen, the actual printing process was much more challenging. And once again, functionality. The original dinosaur has flexible joints, but on the AI-generated model, the joints are fixed. They don't rotate like the original. So once again, AI recreated much of the appearance, but it didn't preserve the functionality of the object. And just like the previous levels, I'm not including functionality in the overall score. That gives level 4 an overall score of 8.25 out of 10. For level 5, I wanted to push the AI as far as I could. So I chose this Buddha statue. And this is by far the most detailed object in my entire test. Look at all these details: the hair, the facial features, the folds in the robe, the hands, the fingers, and all the intricate details around the base. This is the kind of object where I expected the AI to struggle. Let's see how well it can handle this extreme level of detail. Once again, this result surprised me. The overall shape is extremely close. The proportions look right, the outlines are very similar, and the overall structure is almost exactly what I was hoping for. So, for shape, 10 out of 10. Most of the intricate details were captured. The facial features, the folds in the robe, the hair, and the small details throughout the statue are all surprisingly close to the original. But I did find one minor issue. There's a small area around where the fingers come together, where some of the detail isn't quite right. It's a relatively minor miss, but at this level, those small differences matter. So for details, 9 out of 10. Remember, the AI only had one photograph to work from, so it had to guess what the parts we couldn't see looked like. And it did that extremely well in this case. Look at the back of the head. The AI created the hair in a very similar way to what we see on the front. And then look at the robe. The AI recreated the robe with folds, and depth. That's a pretty impressive guess. So for hidden parts, I'm giving it 10 out of 10. Now comes the physical test. Just like the previous levels, the model did generate support material. But there was an important difference. Even though there was quite a bit of support, it was much easier to remove compared with the level 4 Dinosaur. And the actual surface of the print was also surprisingly smooth. There were some areas that needed cleanup, but overall the print came out very well. So for printability, 8 out of 10. That gives this level 5 Buddha 9.25 out of 10, and honestly, I didn't expect the final level to score this high. So, after testing 5 objects, from a simple coffee cup all the way to this highly detailed Buddha, how good is AI at turning photos into 3D models? Here's my take. Across all 5 tests, the overall shapes and proportions were consistently right. In fact, shape received a 10 out of 10 at every level. That's probably the biggest strength I found. Regarding capturing the details, AI was really good, even on the most complicated objects, but we saw mistakes like missing teeth, extra fingers, and small areas where details were merged or changed. So I'd say AI is very good at visual detail, but still not perfect. When it comes to guessing the hidden parts, AI often made surprisingly accurate guesses. The Buddha was probably the best example. The AI created the hair on the back of the head and even reproduced folds in the robe without seeing those areas in the original photo. That's pretty remarkable. Printability is probably the biggest lesson from my experiment. A model can look amazing on the screen, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a great 3D print. We saw rough surfaces, support material, difficult cleanup, and even broken parts. But interestingly, printability wasn't simply getting worse as the levels increased. The level 5 Buddha actually printed better than the level 4 Dinosaur. So the complexity of the object isn't the only factor. The geometry and how the model is constructed also matter. Functionality is another limitation I want to touch upon. AI was much better at recreating what an object looks like than recreating what an object does. The toy car had movable wheels, but the AI version didn't. The Dinosaur had flexible joints, but the AI version had fixed joints. So if you're trying to recreate a functional mechanical object, you may still need to do some work yourself. So how good is AI at turning photos into 3D models? My answer is really good. Much better than I expected, but I wouldn't say AI is replacing 3D modeling just yet. Instead, I think it's becoming a very powerful starting point. You can let AI create the basic model, then use traditional 3D modeling tools to fix dimensions, add functionality, repair details, and optimize it for printing. That's all from my side. If you like the video, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.